Hey, this is Arrabon on our Thoughtful Thursday, where we answer questions that will help you to become more of a reconciling community. My name is David Bailey, and today's question is, how should Christians be voting when it comes to electing government officials? And you know, that question is a very American question. So many places around the world, and even for the majority history of Christianity over 2,000 years, this was a question that most Christians don't get a chance to ask. It's very uniquely American question in many ways, and most Christians around the world, and even throughout the history of America, and the history of Christianity, they don't necessarily see how this is like a significant Christian duty in the ways that we can oftentimes feel this way in America. You know, being able to vote is a privilege. As an African American, I make sure whether I'm in the country or not in the country that I do what I can do to vote, because so many people bled and died so that I could vote. Now, I let everything inform my Christian faith, and so I don't conflate that with my first and primary response in my Christian duty. I think God requires more of me than only in the places and occasions where I vote, and I think that's true of all of us Christians who are name the name of Christ here in America. You know, Christians in the first century, there was no possible imagination that they could vote in and out Caesar to make changes within the Roman government. So they had to have a different type of imagination of how to change society within their Christian faith in a very different type of way. Historian Larry Hurtado, he kind of summarized it this way. He says there were 5 distinctions of the early church. One was they were the first multi-ethnic religion. Number 2, they were serving the poor. Number 3, they did not retaliate to persecution. And number 4, they were pro-life, they were against abortion and infanticide. And number 5, they were countercultural with their sexual ethics. And so they were very countercultural to the way that sexuality was engaged in Rome. Now, 2 of these issues kind of seem like a Republican issue, and 2 of these other issues seem like a issue that Democrats care more about. And my friend Darren says that neither one care about civility, not retaliating to persecution. And I think this is really something that's really important for those of us in America to realize, is that there's not one particular party that is going to be 100% biblical. And the reality of it is the Bible has no guarantee that salvation is going to come through any particular political party. You know, I'm often quoting my friend Sandra Van Opsel, and she says, one thing that's a political issue for one people group is a pastoral concern for another people group. So as I try to use and steward my gift of being able to vote, one of the things that I do is I try to read widely and deeply of the best versions of arguments from people on both sides. I also acknowledge the fact that I'll come to this conversation, of any conversation, oftentimes with a bias. And so I want to make sure that I'm understanding issues well and understanding what my bias is going to be. My bias may or may not change, but at least it's important for me to be aware of it. And number 3, I try to look at the scriptures. I spend a lot of times with the scriptures to be able to see, what does the scriptures have to say about this? Number 4, make sure that I am reading more of the scriptures than I am any type of news outlet or media, whether it's through TV, whether it's through what I read on the internet, or however I consume my news media. I try to read the scriptures more, listen to the scriptures more than I do any of these things, because you can oftentimes begin to interpret the Bible through your news media instead of interpreting the news media through the Bible. Last but not least, it's really just important to pray and to ask the Lord, how does God want you to engage after you've done the due diligence of paying attention to your bias and reading deeply and widely and reading the scriptures more than you pay attention to the news outlets. And then you also go ahead and just get a chance to understand what is God's heart as you understand these issues as pastoral issues and not just only political issues. And then just pray and vote according to your convictions. Thanks so much for watching the Thoughtful Thursday video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it in the comment section. Please share this video with some friends or family or coworkers that might be interested. And also, hit that subscribe button so that you can get your Thoughtful Thursday question for next week.